She had the kind of face you don't forget. Not just because it was beautiful, though it was, but because there was something behind it. Something unreadable. Like she was always holding something back. Her name was Gia Carangi. She was raw, radiant, and reckless. At 17, she ruled runways. But at 26, she left this world far too soon.
Now I have a great lust for life, you could say. And I love life. And it's a wonderful feeling.
People still ask, why didn't anyone help her? But the truth is more complicated.
Why didn't anyone help her? Why didn't anyone do this? And first of all, they had to know Gia. There was no one, her mother, her father, who could take her by the arm and say, we're gonna lock you up.
Everyone who loved Gia has their own version of what happened. Some blame the drugs. Others blame the industry. But maybe the truth is, no one ever really knew how to save her. Because Gia wasn't just another girl who got lost. She was the girl everyone saw, but no one could reach.
There's so much said about Gia. Poor Gia, sad Gia, poor Gia, poor Gia, poor Gia. My experiences with Gia were, she was always on time. She always turned it out for the photographer. She always looked gorgeous. There were lots of girls that got a bad rap. She was just unlucky.
This is not just a story about fashion or fame or addiction. It's a story about being left behind again and again and trying to fill that silence with whatever would love you back. This is the story of Gia, the supermodel the industry couldn't save. When Gia arrived in New York at just 17, she wasn't like the other girls. She wasn't polished. She wasn't prepped. But she had something else. Something that made people stop what they were doing and just look. She was shy, painfully so, but the moment the camera turned on, something else took over. A quiet girl from Philadelphia would vanish, and Gia, the phenomenon, would appear. Her face was pure contradiction, soft but bold, feminine yet androgynous. She could look like a boy, a goddess, or both at once. And that made her irresistible to the lens.
Well, she was a total androgyny. I mean, she was like a boy, but not like a boy. Oh. And she was like a girl. Well, she was a girl. She was a good actor because when you did her makeup, it was like she became that made-up person, but she was still Gia.
Even among the biggest models of the era, Janice, Lauren, Christy, Gia was different. She didn't pose, she moved. She didn't copy the trends. She became them. Within months, she was everywhere. Vogue, Cosmopolitan, Armani, Versace. And yet, she barely even wanted to be there. She didn't want to be a model. It just happened. One of the first people to really see Gia's potential was makeup artist and photographer Sandra Circa. She later said, Gia was extremely nervous to be shooting with professional models. She thought they didn't like her. I told her to look in the mirror, and that's when I captured the face that would change modeling forever. Gia didn't arrive to conquer fashion. She stumbled into it. Modeling wasn't her dream. It was her escape. From the chaos of her childhood, from the silence at home, from feeling like she never quite fit in. And as the industry turned her into an icon, it never stopped to ask if she was okay. It gave her money, fame, attention, but never protection. Because when you're that beautiful, people forget you're still a child who didn't know how to be alone, a child who just wanted to be loved back. The camera may have adored her. The world certainly did. But Gia never truly knew how to love herself. She was wanted by everyone in the industry. Photographers lined up to shoot her. Editors fought to feature her. Designers built collections around her face. And yet, the one person she longed for most wasn't someone powerful or famous. It was Sandy Linter. Sandy wasn't just a makeup artist. She was Gia's safe place, her anchor. There was something about Sandy that made Gia feel seen, not just as a model, but as a person.
She took so long to come out of her room because she was shy and she did feel that way about you. And she just wanted to be perfect. And she came out smiling. She was posing. She came over and she put her arms around you. And then, you know, because she felt so much for you, she covered that by pretending to toss you in the pool.
Right.
In Gia's world, love was something she didn't know how to ask for, so she turned it into performance. She flirted, she joked, she lit up a room the second she walked in, but underneath it all was a girl who just wanted to be seen and chosen. She wasn't confused about who she was. Her attraction to women was never something she questioned, but the people around her did. Her mother dismissed it. Her agents ignored it. To Gia, it was simple. Love is love. But to the world she lived in, it was something to hide. And over time, that shame started to crack the foundation beneath her. She was still everywhere, on magazine covers and campaigns, on runways from Paris to Milan. But she didn't move like a model. She moved like someone who didn't care what anyone thought. And somehow, that only made the fashion world fall harder for her.
I'd never seen anyone work like her before. It was her body language, and I thought, oh my God, I mean, this girl is fantastic.
Harry King saw it right away. And so did Francesco Scavullo, one of the most powerful photographers of the era. He became fascinated by Gia. She didn't just take direction, she transformed for the camera. She could make a pair of jeans look like a revolution. She could sell perfume without ever speaking a word. But behind that power was someone unraveling. Gia didn't care about chasing perfection. What she cared about was the feeling, the fire. And sometimes that fire was too much. She started showing up late, sometimes not at all. She'd disappear without a word, then come back like nothing happened. People started whispering. Was it attitude, or was it drugs? At first, no one really knew. Gia could still deliver. Until one day, something shifted. The one person she trusted, Wilhelmina, her agent, and the closest thing she had to a protector, died suddenly. And Gia collapsed. In her journal, she wrote, "I cry every day for a little while. I wish Wilhelmina didn't die. She was so wonderful to talk to. I don't know what is happening in my life." Wilhelmina had been more than an agent, and her death hit Gia like a freight train. That was the beginning of the spiral. She started missing jobs. Sometimes she'd show up glowing, other times she could barely hold herself upright. On a shoot in St. Bart's, an assistant found what she had smuggled on board. He threw it overboard. Gia lost it, screaming, threatening to leave. But she stayed. Because that's what she always did. No matter how much chaos came with her, the camera still loved her. The industry didn't want to know what she was using. They wanted the photo. And if she still delivered it, well, the rest was someone else's problem. By now, the drug rumors weren't just rumors. People knew. And some enabled her. Others looked the other way.
No one can stop you from, especially Gia, from doing something that she's hell-bent on doing.
Right.
She was no longer just the girl who didn't care what anyone thought. She had become the girl everyone once wanted, now slowly fading before their eyes. And the worst part was, no one knew how to stop it. Not Sandy, not her agents, not her family, not even Gia herself. She was barely 21 when she left New York and moved back in with her mother in Philadelphia. She said she wanted to get clean and start over. Try again. But Gia was still Gia. Magnetic, restless, haunted, and the world she came back to wasn't built for recovery. She checked into detox. Then she checked herself out. She stole from her mother. She got into a car accident. She was arrested. And yet, somewhere in all of that chaos, she still believed she could make it back. Not to a normal life, but to modeling. To the one version of herself she thought people still wanted. New York hadn't forgotten her, and Francesco Scavullo hadn't either. Elite gave her one final chance. Scavullo shot her for a 1982 Cosmopolitan cover, but the abscesses on her arms had to be hidden, so she posed with her hands behind her back. It was supposed to be a comeback, but the magic was gone. The photos were still beautiful, but something was missing. As Scavullo's assistant would later say, what she was doing to herself finally showed in the pictures. There was an emptiness in her eyes. Gia also sat down for one last interview for ABC's 2020. It was meant to be a wake-up call, an expose on the dark side of modeling, but it barely made a ripple. She told the world she was clean, but behind the scenes, that was far from the truth. She was borrowing money, sleeping with strangers, trying, failing to hold on to whatever version of herself hadn't already unraveled. Elite kept her name on the books, but the work stopped coming. And eventually, so did the calls. She wasn't just unreliable anymore. She was slipping through the cracks. Something inside her was already breaking down. She didn't know it yet, but the next chapter wouldn't be about modeling. Gia began to feel sick, though she couldn't explain what was happening. All she knew was that something inside her was wrong. She started reading everything she could about a terrifying new illness that no one wanted to name out loud. She told people she thought she had AIDS, but no one believed her. However, she was right. Gia was one of the first famous women to contract HIV at the height of the AIDS crisis. And by the time she was diagnosed, it was already too late. She had bilateral pneumonia, bone marrow depression, and dangerously low blood cell counts. Eventually, she was transferred to a psychiatric ward, isolated, hallucinating, frightened. Doctors wore hazmat suits just to enter the room. Some refused to touch her at all. She was dying in a system that didn't know how to treat her and didn't care to try. There were no public statements, no photographers at her bedside. The same industry that had once built her up turned its back when she needed it most. And just like that, Gia slipped away from fashion as abruptly as she had entered it.
I mean, I love my work. I love the people I work with. I love making beautiful photographs, but I never just wanted to be a model. I mean, it's never been a dream of mine. I just sort of fell into it.
She had never wanted the spotlight, not really, and now it wasn't there for her. Even in the final chapter, Gia was still that same little girl, longing to be chosen. And someone did choose her. But the truth was more complicated than a perfect ending. Kathleen, her mother, became very controlling. She decided who could visit. No stylists. No photographers. Not even Sandy. Only Kathleen. She filled Gia's hospital room with yellow roses, her favorite. She held her hand, but it wasn't a storybook reunion. Kathleen showed up in the only way she knew how. And Gia, maybe for the first time, accepted that it was all she was going to get. Kathleen was the only one left, and she tried to care for Gia, even when their relationship was still haunted by silence, guilt, and all the words they'd never said. And in the end, she chose to leave with her mother on the line because being heard mattered more than being healed. She died with her story half told, but she left behind words. Maybe that's what people missed all along. She didn't need saving. She didn't need fixing. She just needed someone to see her pain and stay anyway.